Okay, so everybody's heard about the Mandela effect on Kellogg's Fruit Loops. Now, I looked into the Mandela effect quite a long time ago and I've been following it for a while. And I also think that, or did until very recently, think that it's just the way our brain interprets information and how it fills in the gaps that we want to see or what we can associate with other things. Okay, now that's fine, and I put that behind me as that was a thing with the Mandela effect. But this one thing in particular, and everybody said about the Fruit Loops Mandela effect, and me also. But I want to give a little bit of a story. It'll only take 10 minutes, but I assure you I'm being very genuine about this, and I am very, very confused about what is involved. So, briefly, I've had to buy a box of these, actually, reluctantly, but that's another story. So, going back, way back now to 1996, when my kids were only little, we were away on holiday in the Caribbean, and every morning they had Kellogg's Fruit Loops for breakfast. Of course, the kids went mad for them, and they used to nibble on them all day long. Absolutely fine. But by the end of the 2 weeks holiday, our shared bedroom was full of empty Fruit Loop boxes. So consequently, it was really sort of drilled into me as a youngish adult that Fruit Loops was spelt like this, because I'm a bit of a buff on spelling, and I do know that it's the way it's been addressed, so it's attractive to kids, and obviously not spelt F-R-U-I-T. So that was fine, and but I was absolutely sure it's always been Fruit Loops like this. Now then, I started getting involved in the Mandela effect because I'm interested in all this sort of thing about 5 years ago, way before the COVID time, and on one of the Mandela effect YouTube channels came across the Fruit Loops thing, and it showed Fruit Loops spelled U-I-T, and I thought, oh, that's strange. I always thought it was double O-T, and that was the first I'd heard of the Fruit Loops Mandela effect. But I was absolutely certain that it was spelt with two O's way back in 1996. I'd confidently put money on it, and at the risk of losing the money, I was absolutely certain, because I'm a bit of a spelling buff, that that's how it was spelt. So 5 years ago, when I was first introduced to this, I was absolutely devastated to think that I'd been taken in by the Mandela effect on this particular subject. Everybody knows about the other ones, Mirror Mirror on the Wall, and the Berenstain Bears, and VW badges, and for everything. But this one in particular stuck with me because I was absolutely certain. But 5 years ago, I looked into it, and now this is the key part. I went on Google. I was that certain. Looked at Google images of Kellogg's Fruit Loop boxes, going way back to when they first came out, and all of the old Google images, bar none, all said fruit, F-R-U-I-T, not fruit. Now, although I was convinced way back in 1996 that it was double O-T, I had to accept that I was wrong, and reluctantly, I put it down, just like millions and millions of other people appear to have been misled or misinterpreted in the way they took in the information what was available at the time. But I was absolutely convinced it was double O-T, and it turns out it was U-I-T. And all of the Google images of all boxes of adverts and all kinds of videos, etc., all showed U-I-T. So I just simply accepted I was wrong, and I put it behind me. I didn't give it another thought, and I've looked at Mandela effect since then, and yeah, okay, I go along with why people think some things, yeah. But I put it behind me thinking it's just the way your mind plays tricks on you. Now then, about 3 weeks ago, now we're in 2024, 3 weeks ago, I put a film on, and it was Netflix or some channel, and it was called, I think, The Bad Days. Basically an army film, actually quite a good film. And among the opening sequence of the film was this army fellow who was going to be the star in the film, and he had all the two of the miniature variety packs of the Kellogg's, what they were called, the varieties, and one was Kellogg Frosties, everybody knows, and the other one was Kellogg Fruit Loops, and there it was, spelt with 2 O's. Well, I put the video on pause, and I said, I knew I was right about that. But that left a little bit of a difficult dilemma, because that means if it's now saying it's 00, why was it 5 years ago it was saying it was UIT? So I looked into the Mandela effect now, like there's dozens of videos all on Fruit Loops on Mandela effect, and everyone thought it was UIT, but it's always been 00. But that's not the case. 5 years ago, I'll guarantee that was UIT, and the YouTube going to the Google images showed UIT. So this is the critical part about it. Please bear with me. Google Images said that this was UIT 5 years ago. Okay, I accept I was wrong. Now in 2024, a film has come out and it's OOT. So I went on to Mandela Effect and looked at it. Now they're saying that it has always been OOT and never been UIT, which completely 180-degree contradicts what I looked into 5 years ago. The bit about it is, if you go on Google Images now and look back, the same periods of time, right back to the sort of like 1980s, it all shows it as OOT and not UIT. Now, I have no idea how to explain that. I don't know. I will still accept if I'm wrong in some sort of strange way, but what I do know is 5 years ago I felt strongly enough that I was right and it was spelt OOT, and I was allegedly wrong, and now in 2024 it's the complete opposite. If someone has an answer to that, I am more than interested to hear what it is. And I'm not saying whatever the Mandela effect is, I'm not saying it's a CERN Hadron Collider, I'm not saying it's multiverses, or I'm not saying, I have no idea. What I am saying is I can trust my own judgment and my own senses, and I accepted I was wrong 5 years ago in the spelling of this word, of this cereal, and now I'll guarantee it's a 180-degree change, and they've changed what it was. It was UIT 5 years ago, and the Google Images said it was UIT going back 20 odd years ago. Now Google Images, it's saying it's OOT and it's never been UIT. Please explain. I would be glad to hear in the comments if anyone has any. Thanks very much for watching. Anyway, take care.